and let us all do we can to build a better future.
But now let's go ahead and end strong with this awesome story. Daniel, something's happening in California.
Yeah, something is
is
happening in
going on?
California. There's about a 50-50 chance that Governor Gavin Newsom, which everyone is really happy with all the time, for sure, that's definitely not sarcasm, will be kicked out after failed leadership in a recall. Let's go into this and see if this is going to happen. California people, let's get your opinions on this. So, Californians who say that they expect to vote in the September recall election are almost evenly divided over whether to remove Governor Gavin Newsom from the office, evidence of how pivotal voter turnout will be in deciding the governor's political fate, according to a new UC Berkeley Institute of Governmental Policy's poll co-sponsored by the Los Angeles Times. The findings dispel the notion that California's solid Democratic voter majority will provide an impenetrable shield for Newsom and reveal a vulnerability created by a recall effort that has energized Republicans and has been met with indifference by many Democrat and Republican voters. So I only have part of this article here. Again, go check it out in the show notes. But basically, it seems very clear. So I'll just read this next part, then I'll get into what I'm saying. The poll found that 47% of likely California voters supported recalling the Democratic governor, compared with 50% who opposed removing Newsom from office, a guy who has acted, from our coverage, very heavy-handed at best and dictatorial at worst, and very uneven, helping certain large donating businesses and not smaller mom-and-pop shops in the pandemic, among other things. Anyway, a difference just shy of the survey's margin of error. Gavin Newsom is in serious trouble at this time because his base of voters is not motivated to come out and support him because he's been doing stuff. As said Dave Gillard, one of the political strategists leading the effort to oust Newsom, Gillard says Newsom doesn't have much time to correct that or voter discontent over the homeless crisis and crime in California, since election officials will begin mailing ballots to all registered voters starting August 16th. So one thing that it's in the rest of the article, which if you want to check out yourself, the article, and Gavin, I think maybe because Gavin is trying to make this in the article, it makes it as well, is his big take is basically what we saw in a lot of Force the Vote. Well, this isn't real. No one's really doing this. This is a concerted effort by Trump Republicans, specifically Trump Republicans, not just Trump. All the worst things, all the worst people, they're behind it. And so if you decide you want to recall me, you're Hitler. That's basically his defense, and that's basically the defense that the paper tried to put together with him and what he's doing. I would welcome him leaving. He really does seem to be a really bad governor. The fact that half and half is where we're at right now with the voting says, I think, about as much. I remember we just kept reading stories about him during the pandemic of him making choices and decisions that hurt a lot of regular people, helped a lot of very wealthy people, and just went way beyond the bounds of what seemed to be his power in office. So I would just say to Gavin, buddy, eat it. Eat it. You made it. You plated it. Eat it. Don't hide behind Trump. Don't try and pretend that he has a skirt that you're hiding behind. People aren't happy with you because you did a lot of things that weren't useful, helpful, or productive for your state, and the people are suffering.
So here's something that regular people can rally behind, whether they're Democratic voters, Republican voters, progressives, independents, libertarians, Greens, socialists, especially if they live in the state of California.
Mm-hmm.
Governor Gavin's leadership throughout 2020 was not something that inspired confidence, respect, or continued support.
Yeah.
He hurt working class citizens. A lot of his policies. Now, look, I understand that there was a lockdown. I get that. But the thing is, there is a lot of situations in the state of California, the majority Democratic state and the Democratic House and Senate in that state refuse to acknowledge. There's environmental crises happening there. Mm-hmm. There's clearly political corruption. There is environmental crisis. Again, the massive forest fires. There's droughts happening in the state of California. And there's a lack of real leadership and economic opportunities. There's an exodus of people leaving California. Not just wealthy people, but there's working class people leaving that state because it costs too much to live in California.
And they put way too many, like they had terribly inconsistent, overblown, underblown, inconsistent COVID rules.
Yeah.
That, again, remember that video we saw of that woman who couldn't open her small little breakfast place, but she turned around and
there was a Hollywood
set. Oh, perfectly fine. Completely different when you have 5 times as many people.
Yep. Or either that again too. How a lot of small businesses were not getting any kind of support at the state level.
Yeah.
California has a very large GDP.
Yeah.
You would think that the state of California would be able to help out its small business population, but small business owners were left to dry.
Yeah.
Out there on their own.
Especially the restaurants.
Oh, all the restaurants
They
too,
were
yeah.
just like demolished.
Demolished, destroyed. And then there's another thing too to bring up. The homelessness crisis in the state of California. It's out of control. And these are people who also have jobs, by the way. They're just not homeless and don't have a job. These people are homeless, but they go to work. They go to work. And yet they're still homeless. They got a job, but they're homeless. What's the point of living in a state where it's so expensive to own an apartment, even like a small studio cramped space? It's impossible. That's the life in California, and this is something that Governor Gavin is going to have to deal with. Governor Gavin Newsom, you made this problem. You're on your own. Too bad, so sad, buddy.
So I also just want to say that about 30% of California is Republican.
Yeah.
Even if all of them voted, that's 30%. This is a Democrat thing. Democrats don't like you. Republicans are just along for the ride.
Yep. And this election, how it'll turn out. Again, very curious about voter turnout, what the rules and regulations will be, because because of COVID, there's also concern about the Delta variant as well, what that's going to play in. And I'm really looking forward to, because, when we had Fiorella Isabel and Craig Jardula on our show from the Convo Couch, they talked about what it's like living in California and how corrupt it is. It's something that we're all too familiar with here in Illinois, since it's also a Democrat state too. But by the way, Republican states just as corrupt.
Isn't it weird that our governor, like at least by Illinois governor standards, is doing decent? I mean, we're not happy. He didn't get a lot of things done that we would have liked, but
compared to other governors,
I mean, it's such a
the bar is very low. The bar is very low.
Half of the previous Illinois governors have gone to prison. It's a really low. You have a higher chance you have a higher chance of going to prison if you are governor of Illinois versus killing someone, because our police don't do anything.
A lot of our governors, I think 3 of the recent Republican governors, and then one of our Democratic governors, Blagojevich, he went to jail too. The only 2 that haven't was Bruce Rauner. He was Republican, but he led an Illinois economic crisis.
Too rich to go to jail.
Yeah,
but he did destroy like a huge amount of the
he destroyed
Illinois
our economy.
Government. Yeah,
he destroyed our economy. And then you had Pat Quinn wasn't all that bad, but
we did an interview with him. We ran into him.
Yeah, you know what? Here's the thing. You know what Pat Quinn's redeeming value for me is that he was the one who was really leading the cause and the charge for putting in term limits for Chicago mayor.
And I got to say, I appreciate any high-level official that is willing to sit down with us for an interview.
Yeah, that's true. Pat Quinn did sit down for us like twice.
Yeah, this is like, oh man, we're talking like 4 years ago.
Yeah. This is old Hardlands media. So with that being said, Governor Newsom, Gavin Newsom, you dug the hole.
Yeah.
You took a sloppy crap in it. And now
you fell in.
No. He dug the hole. He went in, took a crap, and then buried himself in it and stuck his head on and said, "Oh, I made a mess."
Then you covered it up.
And then he crawled out, hoping no one would notice that he was covered in shit and dirt. So there you go. All right.
Well, isn't like shit becomes dirt eventually?
Yeah, but he was. I don't know.
It's like maybe we just call it dirt and pre-dirt.
Yeah. There we go.